Please be crazy. Go mad. We live in a distorted world with distorted world views. So nihilistic, so self serving, so narcissistic. To be truly crazy in this world that we live in is to be honest, sincere, and good. So please be as insane as you can possibly be. Frank Capra's follow up to It Happened One Night was Mr. Deeds Goes to Town, and it is a superb film. It's another masterpiece. It is incredibly shot, incredibly filmed, a wonderful screenplay from Robert Riskin, and Capra is at his most inspired here. This possibly gets Capra's philosophy the best. He best expresses it here. Capra, all throughout his life, struggled with fame, with the responsibility of being a filmmaker of his caliber and of his esteem. With those kinds of responsibilities, he struggled so much to remain honest, sincere, and good. And in Mr. Deeds Goes to Town, he really explores those things. He had a mental breakdown. He, he was losing his mind because in a world of mindless narcissism, in a world of selfishness. He was losing his mind because he was honest, sincere, good, and he was sentimental, and he was sentimentally devoted to an idea, to the uniqueness of a million different kinds of people, all in love with the same insane idea, which is that generally goodness is a virtue. And we should try to be good. We should try as hard as we can to be as good as we can. Mr. Deeds Goes to Town features a remarkable performance from Gary Cooper. He's incredibly charismatic here. He has a sort of practical charisma. He has an understanding quality to him, but also a deep amount of pathos. The feelings really emanate from Gary Cooper. Jean Arthur is absolutely charming, and I think she's really stylistically cool. Like the first time we see her and she's playing with like yo-yos and things like that, and she's a reporter and she's just beautiful, and Mr. Deeds helps make that beautiful uniqueness inside of her blossom in ways that are honest, sincere, and good, and she really just personifies, I believe, a country waking up to sincerity. And Jean Arthur is incredible in here. And Gary Cooper and Jean Arthur have remarkable chemistry together. And I love watching them on screen. It's like they belong together. And I feel it deep in my heart. This film is so beautifully shot. The lighting is so incredible and it's so emotive. And more than anything else, it's Capra's philosophy, it's Capra's sentimentalist philosophy that really inspires me. Mr. Deeds is such an inspiring film. It makes me want to go out and do good deeds, and I hate that we live in a universe that sounds so antiquated. That sounds like such bullshit because it's not. It's probably the most courageous and anti-conformist thing you can do is to actually be honest, sincere, and good. That's probably the most like counter-revolutionary fucking thing you can do. Is to live like you were in a Frank Capra film. If you lived like you were in a Frank Capra film, you would be truly and startlingly fresh and authentic. You would be not only virtuous but revolutionary. You would be something worth looking up to, uh, something worth signifying, something worth carrying over and carrying on and carrying within. If you lived like you were in a Frank Capra movie, everyone would think you were crazy because all you'd want to do is be a good person and do good things. I want to live as if I'm in a Frank Capra movie, and I'm going to live as if I'm in a Frank Capra movie. Because I reject the way the world is. I reject the popular worldview that only gets more and more narcissistic and more self-serving. Mr. Deeds Goes to Town was it converses with the Great Depression, which was going on during this time. It converses directly with it. It opens up a dialogue with the poor, with the disenfranchised, with the dispossessed. It opens up a dialogue with them, and it champions a deeper virtue. It champions the inner virtue that connects people. That insane virtue that no ideology could ever dampen, that no system could ever undermine, the virtue in us to be honest, sincere, and good. It might be the only truthful part of any of us. And I hate that we live in a universe where Frank Capra seems antiquated. I want to live as if I'm in a Frank Capra film. I want to be a Frank Capra hero. I want to be described as positively Capra-esque because I want to be good. For goodness sake. I want to be Mr. Deeds. Mr. Deeds is my favorite Frank Capra hero. He's the best one. Gary Cooper, I think. Jimmy Stewart is great. You know, Jimmy Stewart is a phenomenal presence in Capra films. I think the partnership that Capra had with Stewart is far more fruitful than the one he had with Cooper. But Cooper in Mr. Deeds Goes to Town and Meet John Doe, I think especially in Mr. Deeds, an actor like Gary Cooper best expresses the intrinsic or like the manifest heroism within Capra's philosophy. He best expresses Capra's heroes. I think Mr. Deeds is the best Frank Capra hero. There's something so remarkable about him, and it does come from how out of step he seems with everybody. And then you take a step back and you go, he only seems out of step and weird because we're so grossly narcissistic. We're so snobbish. We've committed so many acts of barbaric snobbery that a person like Mr. Deeds seems positively mad. And then you realize you're the one who's insane. And that if that's what qualifies sanity in this world, then I want nothing to do with a sane reality. I want the reality of Mr. Deeds. I want the reality of Frank Capra. I want the cinema of Frank Capra, and I believe in Frank Capra's cinema. I believe it can be here and real, because I believe we've tried to personify it, but we've never actually done so. Mr. Deeds is worth looking up to. This is a film that's worth being inspired by. Frank Capra's work is valuable. There is value in being inspired from it. There's something so perfect about a Frank Capra film, especially one like Mr. Deeds Goes to Town. That just is so startlingly majestic and perfect and wonderful. It happened one night. It's still my favorite Frank Capra film. It's one of my 3 favorite films of all time, but Mr. Deeds Goes to Town is within my top 10 favorite films as well. And it's my second favorite Frank Capra film. I love it so much. And I think that it really says something. I think it makes the audience feel that, you know what? Yeah, it is insane. The intellectual expectations of us are insane, and they are selfish, and they are narcissistic. This goes beyond ideology. It goes beyond any sort of governmental system. Goodness is goodness. Honesty is honesty, and sincerity is sincere in and of itself. And if to be successful means to be a cretin, and then I'd rather be poor every single day than live on my knees for any amount of time. I'll never live on my knees. I will live standing up. Walking is still honest. Mr. Deeds Goes to Town is fucking beautiful. It's such a beautifully crafted film. The composition is remarkable. And the narrative is really what speaks to you so desperately. Through Frank's incredibly beautiful composition. The photography in this film is to die for. The choreography of its scenes, of its moments that that nestle inside of your brain, but more so inside of your heart, and make you bump and make it beat and make you feel alive and wanted and true. As if you can do something right for once. I want to do something right for once. I'm sick and tired of trying to make myself more insane to appease a world full of complete lunacy. I'm sick and tired of being performative, of pretending for a mob of pretenders. If there's only one or two authentics out there, that's where I want my community, because that is where it's honest and it is sincere, and we are good. Thank you for watching my video, guys. I love Frank Capra. I love Frank Capra.